Life has a funny way of testing you, of pushing you to your absolute limits. My story isn't one I ever thought I'd tell, but here we are. It's a story about trust, betrayal, and ultimately, about finding the strength to walk away and rediscover yourself. For 10 years, I believed I was living a fairy tale. Sarah and I met in college. She was vibrant, funny, the kind of person who could light up a room just by walking into it. We built a life together, brick by brick. We bought a house in the suburbs, planted a garden, and even got a golden retriever we named Buddy. To everyone who looked at us, we were the perfect couple. I thought so too. I really, really did. The cracks started small, almost too small to notice. It began with late nights at the office, a reason I never questioned because she was ambitious, and I admired that about her. Then came the business trips, weekends away for seminars, and team-building exercises. I'd pack her bags, wish her well, and spend my weekends working on the house, eagerly waiting for her to come home and tell me all about it. I was her biggest supporter, her #1 fan. Then the distance grew. Not just physical distance, but an emotional chasm that felt miles wide. Our conversations became superficial. I'd ask about her day, and she'd give me one-word answers while scrolling through her phone. The laughter that once filled our home was replaced by a tense silence. Intimacy, both emotional and physical, became a memory. I tried to talk to her about it, to bridge the gap. I suggested counseling, date nights, even a vacation. Each time she'd dismiss my concerns. "You're overthinking it, Mark," she'd say. "We're just busy. It's normal for long-term couples to go through phases like this." I wanted to believe her so badly that I convinced myself she was right. But a seed of doubt had been planted, and it was growing roots. My gut was screaming at me that something was wrong. It was the little things. The way she'd angle her phone away from me. The sudden need for a password on her laptop, which had always been open between us. The vague answers about who she was having dinner with. I felt like I was losing my mind, caught between the woman I loved and the stranger she was becoming. One evening, I confronted her. I laid my heart bare, telling her how lonely and disconnected I felt. I pleaded with her to tell me what was going on. She looked me straight in the eye and called me paranoid. She said my insecurity was pushing her away. She twisted my genuine concern into a flaw of my own. That night she made me feel like I was the problem. And for a while, I believed her. I apologized, promised to be more trusting, and tried to bury my suspicions. But you can only ignore your intuition for so long before it consumes you. The breaking point came on a Tuesday. I remember the day so clearly. It was our anniversary. I'd taken the day off work to surprise her. I bought her favorite flowers, a bottle of the expensive champagne we'd had on our honeymoon, and planned to cook her a gourmet dinner. I texted her that morning, a simple, "Happy anniversary, my love. Can't wait to see you tonight." She replied hours later with just, "You too." Around lunchtime, I got an email notification on our shared tablet. It was a receipt from a hotel, a fancy boutique place downtown. The reservation wasn't for a future date. It was for the previous weekend, a weekend she was supposedly on a work retreat, 2 states away. My heart hammered against my ribs. My hands started to shake. This could be a mistake, right? A mix-up? But the receipt was just the beginning. The email was still open. And below it was another one. A confirmation for a dinner reservation. A table for 2 at a romantic restaurant, also from the past weekend. The name on the reservation wasn't mine. It was a man's name I didn't recognize. David. That's when I knew. It wasn't paranoia. It wasn't insecurity. It was the truth, staring me in the face in cold, hard digital print. I felt a strange sense of calm wash over me. The anxiety and doubt were gone, replaced by a chilling certainty. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, in our kitchen, the bouquet of flowers wilting on the counter, and I finally saw everything clearly. I didn't need to dig further, but something compelled me to. I walked into our home office. Her laptop was on the desk, closed. I opened it. It was unlocked. She must have forgotten to lock it in her rush that morning. Her messaging app was open. And there it was. A whole world I never knew existed. Months, maybe even years, of conversations with David. They weren't just messages. They were a story. A story of their secret dates, their inside jokes, their plans for a future. A future that didn't include me. I read about how she loved the cologne he wore, how she couldn't wait to see him again. I saw pictures they'd sent each other, a picture of them toasting with champagne glasses at that restaurant, a picture of them smiling, her head on his shoulder, in front of the hotel. They looked happy, genuinely happy. In that moment I realized the woman I had married was gone. The person who wrote these messages was a stranger. I didn't read it all. I didn't need to. I had seen enough. The proof was undeniable. The life I thought I had was a lie. The love I thought we shared was a performance. I closed the laptop. I didn't slam it. I just closed it, gently. The click of the lid was the sound of a chapter of my life ending. I walked through our house one last time. I looked at the photos on the wall, us smiling on vacation, at weddings, on holidays. It all felt like a movie I had watched, not a life I had lived. I went upstairs and packed a single bag. Just the essentials: clothes, my laptop, my passport. I didn't take any of the things we had bought together. They weren't mine anymore. They belonged to a life that no longer existed. I wrote a short note and left it on the kitchen table right next to the hotel receipt. It said, "I know. The house is yours. I wish you the best." I didn't want a confrontation. I didn't want a fight. There was nothing left to say. The evidence spoke for itself. He found the proof. He closed the door, and he never looked back again. I walked out of that house, got in my car, and drove. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay. With every mile I put between myself and that house, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. It was painful, yes. It was the most excruciating pain I have ever felt, but it was also liberating. For the first time in a long time, I was free. Free from the doubt, the lies, the constant feeling that I wasn't enough. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was mine. It was a blank canvas, and I was the only artist. The weeks and months that followed were tough. There were days I could barely get out of bed. The betrayal cut deep. But with the help of good friends and a therapist, I started to heal. I learned that my worth was never tied to her fidelity. I learned to forgive, not for her, but for myself, so I could let go of the anger. I rediscovered old hobbies, made new friends, and started to build a new life, a life based on honesty and self-respect. Looking back now, I don't feel anger. I feel a strange sense of gratitude. The betrayal forced me to confront a life that was making me unhappy. It forced me to find a strength I never knew I had. I found the proof. I closed the door, and I truly never looked back. And I can tell you, the view from here, on this new road, is brighter than I could have ever imagined. If you're going through something similar, know that you are not alone. The pain you feel is valid, but it will not last forever. You have the strength within you to close that door and to build a new one that leads to a much happier place. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content about healing and moving forward. You've got this.